Good evening. I am Jeff Levine, Chair of the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies. Welcome, everyone. And what a turnout we have. Over 700 people. What a support from our kahila. I mean, we had to rent a tent. We had to cover the Olympic pool. It's quite an event. And it's my pleasure to welcome the esteemed rabbis, our ordinands, their families and friends, and the faculty and staff of the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies to our ordination ceremony, and to you, the 14 members of our 21st graduating class of soon-to-be ordained rabbis. You will be joining our 200 previous Ziegler graduates in serving synagogues, colleges, schools, and other Jewish and some secular institutions. The Ziegler School serves a unique and holy purpose. Every Jewish community, indeed I would say every person, has spiritual needs for support, guidance, inspiration, education, and connection. In most cases, we are too busy confronting the challenges of our daily lives to indulge our individual spiritual needs. It is here that we can turn to our rabbis to help fulfill this critical need. It is the rabbi that sustains the spiritual life of the synagogue, of the college hillel, of the Jewish school. It is the rabbi we turn to at life cycle events, both happy and sad. It is the rabbi we rely on to inspire our children and our entire community to ensure Jewish continuity and connectedness. At the Ziegler School, we assemble and prepare these special people who have felt the calling to do this holy work. We lead them on a rigorous and exciting multi-year path of education, counseling, and training, drawing on their natural intelligence, empathy, and passion to mold them into uniquely qualified spiritual leaders and supporters. The Ziegler Advisory Board, which I chair, is made up of visionary leaders who are dedicated to the holy work of the Ziegler School. We provide advice and financial support to the institution, and we provide zealous advocacy on behalf of the Ziegler School's role in the conservative movement. Our faculty, led by our Dean, Rabbi Bradley Shavit Artson, and by our Associate Dean, Rabbi Cheryl Peretz, has attained an international reputation for scholarship, innovation, and a commitment to pastoral rabbinics. During our relatively brief history, we have attained recognition as one of the 4 leading institutions of the conservative movement, along with the Jewish Theological Seminary, the Rabbinical Assembly, and United Synagogue. Our board has consistently supported Rabbi Artson's insistence that the Ziegler School be recognized as the leading institution that it is. In these and other ways, the Ziegler Board continues to strengthen the vitality and influence of the Ziegler School. At this time, I would like to have the members of the Ziegler Advisory Board stand to be recognized and appreciated for their Thank you all for your vital service. One of the benefits that comes with my involvement with AJU is getting to know some incredible scholars and leaders. Getting to work with and know our new AJU president, Dr. Jeffrey Herbst, has been both a privilege and a lot of fun. I am happy to invite Dr. Herbst to share some remarks.
It was light. Thank you. Thanks so much, Jeff. On behalf of the Board of Directors of American Jewish University, I'm delighted to welcome you to the ordination program of the Ziegler School of Rabbinical Studies. Today has been an important day for the Ziegler School and for AJU. This morning, we began a new tradition of conferring honorary degrees on members of the 20th anniversary class. It was a pleasure and an honor to bestow these degrees on the first graduating class of the Ziegler School, the class of 1999. Today, we ordain 14 new rabbis who represent the most recent class and the newest contribution of the Ziegler School to the Jewish community. We are therefore at once able to look back and look forward through the presence of both of these classes to the many contributions that Ziegler and AJU has made to enhancing spiritual leadership. As I complete my first year as president of American Jewish University, it is heartening to see tonight so many people from so many different congregations, from so many different parts of our city who have come here tonight. Los Angeles is usually described as a fragmented place, yet you have overcome traffic and different affiliations to celebrate a singular moment of renewal. It is my fondest hope that AJU will continue to use its convening power as a university to bring the entire Jewish community of Los Angeles, whether defined by denomination, synagogue affiliation, ethnicity, or location, together. We hear often, perhaps too often, about the problems besetting our faith and that of organized religion in the United States. Nonetheless, these 14 new rabbis have seen fit not only to devote years of study that have brought them to tonight, but are now going out into the world to serve our community. Their work and their dedication must be an antidote to pessimism. They do so not because they are naive or uninformed about the challenges ahead, but because they believe that individually and collectively they can make a difference to their fellow Jews. That is indeed something to celebrate. Finally, I'd like to thank my colleagues, Rabbi Artson and Rabbi Peretz especially, for all that they have done to bring our new rabbis to tonight, as well as arranging this complex series of events over the weekend. Thank you. Again, thank you so much for joining the Ziegler School and American Jewish University tonight, and we hope to see you often. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hurst. Now it is my great pleasure to invite Rabbi Dr. Bradley Shavit Artson, Abner and Rosalind Goldstein Dean's Chair of the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Study, to come to the podium. Rabbi Artson is the heart and soul of the Ziegler School and a champion of the conservative movement. His reputation nationally and internationally has greatly enhanced the prominence of our rabbinic school, and he has extended his and our influence to the Frankel Rabbinic College in Potsdam, Germany, where he serves as dean. With his keen intellect, wisdom, and kindness and sensitivity, Rabbi Artson is the perfect leader for this school. I know I speak for all of us when I applaud his superb leadership and his remarkable dedication to his students, his colleagues, faculty, and staff. It has been my privilege to work with him as chair of the Ziegler School for the past 3 years, and I cherish our close friendship. My pleasure to bring you Rabbi Artson.
Thank you, my friends. This evening always feels like an extraordinary moment where the past and the future touch and kiss. We're here to be able to reenact an ancient Jewish drama as frail as one generation of rabbis to the next, but yet resilient enough to pass through the millennia, keeping our people, our Torah, and our heritage alive. There are so many people who have participated in making not just this evening, but the work that we do every day and throughout the year possible. This is my one opportunity in the year to thank some of them. And I want to start by thanking and congratulating the university's new president, Dr. Jeffrey Herbst, who has, in the time that he's been with us already, led the organization to revitalization and to reaffirmation of hope. I know that our best days are ahead of us, and I thank you for all that you've done for me. To our outgoing Ziegler Advisory Board Chairman, Jeff Levine, who is not only a full partner in this enterprise, but also a dear and beloved friend, thank you. And to the President, to the chair of the American Jewish University, Virginia Moss, who has taken an extraordinary role in reshaping and lifting this university community. I know that her devotion to each and every one of our students, to the faculty, to the administration, is without parallel. And so, Virginia, I have no idea where you are at the moment. And I'd like to again ask the members of both the American Jewish University Board and the Ziegler Advisory Board, please rise so we can thank you for all you do on our behalf. The Ziegler School is proudly affiliated with conservative and Masorti Judaism nationally, internationally, around the world. We are delighted to honor Rabbi Deborah Newman-Kamen, the President of the Rabbinical Assembly, and Rabbi Stuart Vogel, the Vice President of the Rabbinical Assembly, both of you who have traveled so far to be here this evening. The members of the Cantor's Assembly, the leadership and members of Women's League for Conservative Judaism, and I want to single out the International Vice President of Torah Fund, Randy Schwartz, who has traveled all the way to be here with us tonight. The Federation of Jewish Men's Club, United Synagogue, the Jewish Educators Assembly, and the Solomon Schechter Association. I'd like any member of the Rabbinical Assembly, any member of the Cantor's Assembly, the leadership of Women's League, Federation of Jewish Men's Club, United Synagogue, Jewish Educators, please rise so we can acknowledge you as our partners. Every university is defined by the strengths, passions, compassion, and personalities of its faculty. Here at American Jewish University and the Ziegler School, we are so inspired every day by the insightful, brilliant, and indefatigable men and women who not only contribute to the harvest of Jewish learning and thought around the world, but also work every day with their students to make the world a better place. I'd like to invite our beloved faculty to please rise. Of course, the work of the administration of the school, it never stops. So the first group that I would like to thank are my fellow vice presidents and deans. I'd like to thank Sam Levitt, Catherine Schneider, Sophia Yalowski, Josh Levine, Rachel Lerner, Rhoda Weissman, Robbie Totten, and our beloved rector, Rabbi Elliot Dorff. Can I ask you to The astute among you, the close textual scholars, will note I left out one important name. For the last 2 months, the Ziegler School has operated with 2 full-time people in the school office, one of whom is extraordinarily competent, and the other of whom benefits from that competence every day. It is no exaggeration to say that Rabbi Peretz has been fully a partner from day one. And there is not a program, a person, a part of this program that has not been touched and energized by her vision, her passion, and her depth. Rabbi Peretz, thank you. We are very proud to partner with Camp Elohim, with Camp Ramah in California, Camp Ramah Northern California, and with the Miller Introduction to Judaism program, so capably led by Ziegler alum Rabbi Adam Greenwald. You heard that this morning we started a new tradition of honoring the 20th anniversary ordinands on the anniversary of their ordination. This is the 20th anniversary of the very first ordination conducted by the Ziegler School. Those of you who were there with me, it took place at Valley Beth Shalom, a beloved partner synagogue, and we were able to have all but 2 members of the original class rejoin us this morning with the original chair of the Ziegler Advisory Board at the time to be able to celebrate and honor them with an honorary doctorate. If there are members of the first class who are honored this morning with us, can I ask you to please rise? The dreams of this school have been fulfilled by the work that you have done in the world, and we are all so grateful to you. Please note to the general audience how youthful a survivor of the Ziegler School looks. And finally, to the parents, the grandparents, the family and close friends of this year's ordinands, you have lent us your loved ones. You have allowed us to work with them on the building of soul and mind. You have allowed us to take the people you love and hopefully to return them now to you even better than when you loaned them to us. But they would not have achieved what they did without your love and your example and your guidance and your steady presence in their heart. I'd like to, at this point, invite the members of this class to rise and salute their families. My friends, in the early 1800s, there was a man who was to become in his generation perhaps the most famous scientist in the world, a German explorer and researcher named Alexander von Humboldt. He's known today by a current that bears his name, countless rivers and cities in Latin America, but his reputation has fallen into some desuetude of late. He was one of the very first to take a boat and spend 5 years climbing the mountains in the Andes mountain range and to sail up the Amazon River, tracing a map of Latin America for the very first time, a map that ultimately Simón Bolívar and others used in their struggle to liberate Latin America. He came up with the radical theory that nature cannot be studied in its particulars without studying the whole. That nothing has an identity by itself, that everything's identity is the total of its relationships to everything that connects to it. And so if you want to understand something, you have to understand everything that impinges on his life. And like many of us, the first time he came up with that idea, he imagined this charming, lovely world, a kind of preschool of paradise, in which everything harmoniously contributed to the betterment of everything else. And then, also like many of us, reality struck. He was sailing up the Amazon River, and he noticed a kind of Latin American pig called a tapir. And the tapir, he noticed, faced a regular, terrifying dilemma. In the water, the crocodiles would start to swirl and approach it. Allow me to offer you some rabbinic wisdom. If you're swimming in a river and crocodiles begin to swim over to you, you might want to think of a different form of entertainment. So these panic-stricken pigs would run out of the river and into the slashing claws and teeth of jaguars. He watched on the ocean as flying fish, in terror, would flee out of the water, escaping the jaws of dolphins, only to be snatched in the air by hawks and other birds of prey. And he realized that part of what evolution has produced is the result of sheer terror, of bloody competition, of each asserting its own survival at the expense of all around it, in turn becoming the prey of someone else, someone next. And that is indeed part of our evolutionary heritage as well. We also are red of tooth and claw. But here's the amazing thing that the evolutionary process did along the way. Out of that ruthless and endless struggle, generations of terror and rapine and murder, out of that emerged creatures sufficiently complex to be able to care, to love, to have compassion and empathy. Mammals marked the emergence of a survival strategy not of brutality and of narcissism, but of identifying with those that one loves. Mammals are nothing without the capacity to love, and that is not in opposition to the bloodthirsty brutality from which we emerge. It is the capstone. And we, as products of all of evolution, we also have a choice to make. We live in an age in which we are regularly invited to celebrate bloodiness, to assert our greatness by trampling on others, by exulting in our privilege and forgetting how privileged we truly are, and to be able to see victims as having deserved their victimhood, as if the weak have earned the despair with which they struggle. But evolution also reminds us that we can make a different choice. We can choose to be able to focus on, strengthen, and elevate our more compassionate, our more caring, that aspect of ourselves that yearns for justice and a world of love. That also is a product of both the natural world, but as Jews, you have understood in your studies that what the Torah seeks to do is take that Esau quality of bloody self-centeredness and elevate it into a Yaakov kind of learning. Learning that is not about advantage. It is not about supremacy. It is about deepening our own capacity to lift each other. It's about the recognition that covenant embraces all of us or leaves all of us high and dry. We have the ability as human beings and as Jews to reach out to each other, not to suffer alone, and to recognize that it is our business when we see others suffering to alleviate that suffering. You, my beloved students, you have entered into a path of eternal and ongoing self-transformation, in which, in the light of God's love and the Torah's expectations, you can commit yourself anew and again to the uplift and the healing of your fellow human beings and of this broken planet. The choice is yours. What kind of world will we help train people to create? Because the core message of our tradition are two. The book of Genesis tells one of the great stories of all time, of a God so seeking love that God has to create some other entity, in this case creation, because you cannot love alone. There must be someone to engage in loving caring with. And so God creates the world as a great expression of yearning, of hope, and of love. Love forces us to look forward when we would rather grieve and count our wounds and pick the past. But love won't let us do that because there's work to be done and people to care for. And the second great story of our Torah is that the oneness that summoned us into being and invited us to a feast of compassion and care, that oneness identifies not with the pharaohs, the arrogant, and the great in every age, no, but with the outcast and the abominated and the slaves. And that God has so foreordained creation that the universe leans towards justice if we are only willing to do our part. The first act of liberation was not in God's hands, it was in ours. It's when the children of Israel looked around them and cried out, because to see injustice and to cry is an act of resistance. It's an act of self-knowledge. The world does not have to be this way. I don't know my way out yet, but I'm going to scream until something moves. And our tradition tells those two stories. I'm telling you this now after you've taken all those classes. The rest is just detail. All of those rules and guidelines, all they are is the implementation of love and the assertion of justice. All those other stories just riff that same point. So my blessing to you, and my blessing to you, and to you, and to all of us, is that we come home to the core stories of Torah. Yes, we are the evolutionary product of the great apes. We have rage issues, we have anger issues. We often want to assert ourselves by beating our chests and shredding our enemies. But even more than that, we are the children of Moses and Aaron and Miriam. We are the sons and daughters of Isaiah and Jeremiah and Rebbe Akiva and Rebbe Meir. We are the children of great Israelites, Sabbas and Saktas and Bubbies and Zadis, who through their tears taught us how to be strong, how to endure, how to not allow ourselves to be reduced to what the world would like us to be, vicious and petty and self-centered. And so tonight, we recommit, and I bless you that you should be in your lifetimes agents of such a world. I want to close by quoting one of my favorite artists, Judy Chicago, a Yiddish Mädel who now lives in Arizona. She writes, "And then all that has divided us will merge, and then compassion will be wedded to power, and then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind. And then both men and women will be gentle, and then both women and men will be strong. And then no person will be subject to another's will. And then all will be rich and free and varied. And then the greeds of some will give way to the needs of many. And then all will share equally in the earth's abundance. And then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old. And then all will nourish the young. And then all will cherish life's creations. And then all will live in harmony with each other and the earth. And then everywhere will be called Eden once again." And let us all say, Amen.
Shikach.
We have asked each of our rabbinical school graduates to select a mentor or mentors to sponsor their candidacy for ordination. Each of these individuals have had a significant influence on the candidate for ordination and their presence here symbolizes the continuity of Jewish life and study as it is transmitted from teacher to student. I am pleased to call upon Herschel Broder Aberson, of whom his sponsor, Rabbi Jonathan Bernhard, has said, Brody Aberson is one who seeks to bring the holiness. His tools are his kindness and his warmth, his passion and his teaching, and most importantly, his imagination and resilience.
Rabbi Artson, I am pleased to be able to present Herschel Broder Aberson, once my student, now my Talmid Chaver, now my colleague, as Rav.
I am pleased to call upon Jennifer Ruth Romano Greenspan, of whom Rabbi Sean Fieldsmeyer and Rabbi Jessica Yarkin, her sponsors, have said, you weave threads and create textures. You weave texts and create teachings. You weave kindness and create communities.
Rabbi Artson, we are pleased to be able to present Jennifer Ruth Romano Greenspan, once our student, now our Talmidah Chavera, our colleague as Rav.
I am pleased to be able to present Jonathan Scott Hodson, of whom Rabbi Stuart Vogel, his sponsor, has said, it takes a neshama that loves people to make that rabbinate relevant and meaningful. Jonathan has such a soul.
Rabbi Artson, I'm pleased to be able to present Jonathan Scott Hudson, once my student, now my Talmid Chaver, my colleague, as Rav.
I am pleased to be able to present Karen Sue Eisenberg, of whom Rabbi Pat Fenton, her sponsor, has said, with her feet planted firmly on the ground and her wise heart singing with love for the Holy One of Blessing, for family, friends, students, and for the whole Jewish people, how can this wise and righteous leader be anything but a blessing and a gift to our people and to the world?
Rabbi Artson, I'm pleased to be able to present Karen Sue Eisenberg, once my student, now my Talmidah Chavera, my colleague as Rav.
I am pleased to call upon Natasha Jade Mann, of whom her sponsor, Rabbi Jeremy Gordon, has said, Natasha's maturity, sensitivity, humility, decency, sense of justice, and love of Torah were present when I first met her.
Rabbi Artson, I am pleased to be able to present Natasha Jade Mann, once my student, now my Talmidah Chavera, my colleague as Rav.
I am pleased to call upon Morris Benjamin Panitz, of whom Rabbi Michael Panitz and Reb Mimi Feigelson, his sponsors, have said, "Go serve your people and be mindful of all of heaven's children. With grace, courage, and devotion, you embrace an earth of unformed void and darkness upon the face of the deep."
Rabbi Artson, we are pleased to be able to present Morris Benjamin Panitz, once our student, now our Talmid Chaver, our colleague as a Rav.
I am pleased to call upon Rose Claire Provisor, of whom Rabbi Sharon Brous and Rabbi Cheryl Peretz, her sponsors, have said, like Bezalel, Rose is such an artisan, endowed with her own unique gifts. She combines creativity, intellect, compassion, and a fierce passion for justice in answering God's call.
Rabbi Artson, we are pleased to be able to present Rose Claire Provisor, once our student, now our Talmid Chaverah, our colleague as Rav.
I am pleased to call upon Feivel Yaakov Rubenstein, of whom Rabbi Michael Gottlieb, his sponsor, has said, he is kind and sensitive, he's passionate, he's a natural leader, proactive and inclusive.
Rabbi Artson, I am pleased to be able to present Feivel Yaakov Rubenstein, once my student, now my Talmid Chaver, my colleague as Rav.
I am pleased to call upon Sydney Adler Rubenstein, of whom Rabbi Helen Plotk and her sponsor has said, Rabbi Sydney will inspire her followers to be like her. She will teach them to find and raise up the holiness hidden in the mundane. She will demonstrate to them that when studied with diligence and imagination, our ancient texts reveal sublime wisdom.
Rabbi Artson, I am pleased to be able to present Sydney Adler Rubenstein, once my student, now my Talmidah Chaverah, my colleague, as Rav.
I am pleased to call upon Amanda Claire Russell, of whom Rabbi Cheryl Peretz, her sponsor, has said, as a rabbi, Amanda opens herself to the needs of others, has demonstrated a commitment to understanding communal issues, and has shown humility in asking for guidance and mentoring.
Rabbi Artson, I am pleased to be able to present Amanda Claire Russell, once my student, now my Talmidah Chaverah, my colleague as Rav.
I am pleased to be able to call upon Samuel David Seid, of whom Rabbi Claude Weider and I, his sponsors, have said, being in Sammy's presence is like a warm hug, and his attention, respect, and sensitivity and thoughtfulness about how to support the people around him lift us all up and call us to be our best.
We are pleased to be able to present Samuel David Seid, once our student, now Al-Tamid Haver, our colleague as Rav.
I am pleased to be able to call upon Joseph Piha Shamash, of whom Rabbi J. Rosenbaum and Rabbi Mimi Feigelson, his sponsors, have said, with strength and profound commitment to heal God's world, you embrace life with every morsel of your being. Joseph is exquisitely sensitive to the poetry of the human heart and the beauty of our ancient texts.
We are pleased to be able to present Joseph Piha Shamash, once our student, now Al-Tamid Haver, our colleague, as Rav.
I am pleased to be able to call upon Joshua Brian Warshawski, of whom Rabbi Morris Allen and Rabbi Cheryl Paris, his sponsors, have said, you are a person who truly comes before God with joyous song and uses it to lift the hearts and souls of all who have come to know you.
Yeah.
Rabbi Arson, we are pleased to be able to present Joshua Brian Warshawski, once our student, now our Talmid Haver, our colleague as Rav.
I am pleased to call upon Ariel Lillian Root Wolpe, of whom Rabbi David Wolpe, her sponsor, has said, she has taken his legacy and made it uniquely her own. Her bright spirit is expressed in music, passion, and laughter, and rises from the fire in her heart.
Rabbi Artson, I am pleased to present Ariel Lillian Ruth Wolpe, my beloved niece, and now also my Talmidah Chavera, my colleague, as Rav.
I invite this year's ordinands to please return to your seats. At the Ziegler School, we take seriously the role of rabbi as teacher. For the past several years, the faculty of the school have shared their knowledge and insight to prepare these men and women for their careers in the rabbinate. This evening, we invite our new colleagues to teach us as we have taught them. The members of the class selected a text to teach us this evening. They studied this text together and have asked one of their classmates, Jonathan Scott Hodson, to represent it by teaching us tonight. You may follow along in the text, which is printed in your ordination programs on page 4. It's my pleasure to call forward Jonathan Scott Hodson to represent the Ziegler School class of 2019 and to lead the shiur.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being with us tonight in this most holy of moments. I'm very honored to speak on behalf of my class. I'd like for you to make an image in your head of the soon-to-be rabbi that you're here supporting tonight. But instead of the way we look now, think of them the way they looked 4, 5, 6, or even 7 years ago for some of us, back to when this whole rabbinical school process started. Picture them sitting awkwardly on the couch in Rabbi Artsen's house as they began their orientation to the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies. And as they look around the room at their new classmates, they sit unsure of how this will all play out. Everyone tonight, ladies and gentlemen, lived that moment. And we dreamed of one day being at this ceremony and standing on this stage. And back then we looked hopefully at the deans of the school and thought, they're going to make me a rabbi one day. Well, that day has come, and we're so excited to share it with all of you. Now, if rabbinical school has taught us anything, it's that a text is learned best when studied with a chavruta, a study partner. So, that being said, my classmates and I would like to invite all of you to learn a text that we have selected together. Each one of you tonight will be our chavruta. And for a moment, this ordination tent will become a Beit Midrash, a study hall. So just as we began our studies here at the Ziegler Beit Midrash, learning text, so shall we end it. The text from the Talmud we have prepared to learn this evening can be found in your program. I'll begin by reading it to you. And this is the background to an exchange that took place when Rabbi Hanina and Rabbi Hia argued. Rabbi Hanina said to Rabbi Hia, "You are arguing with me? If, heaven forbid, the Torah would be forgotten by the Jewish people, I would restore it through my analysis." Rabbi Hia said to Rabbi Hanina, "I am working to ensure that the Torah will not be forgotten by the Jewish people, for I bring flax and plant it, and then I weave nets from the flax fibers. I then go out and trap deer, and I feed the meat to orphans. And I form scrolls from the skins of the deer, and I go to a town that has no teachers of children in it, and I write the 5 books of the Torah for 5 children. And I teach the 6 orders of the Mishnah to 6 children. To each and every one of these children I say, teach your order to your friends." Now, what is the primary concern that these 2 rabbis share? And what is their greatest fear? I'll give you a hint. The fears that they had are the same fears that many of us have today, that the Torah will be forgotten by the Jewish people. Yes, even though this text was written thousands of years ago, that fear is still alive and very active even today. Every generation has faced this fear. We are afraid that our children and our children's children will abandon Judaism. Unfortunately, these feelings are not unique or new. So to combat this epidemic, each of these rabbis gave their own solution. Rabbi Hanina thinks that if he offers his expert analysis on Torah, it will solve the problem. But Rabbi Hia, he understands that preparing to teach Torah is a process that one should take seriously, a process that takes time. And I think I can speak on behalf of my classmates this evening when I tell you that we now understand very well that preparing to teach Torah does indeed take time. Boy, howdy, does it take time. As I mentioned earlier, 4, 5, 6, and 7 years worth of time. But we could also tell you that as many years as we have been within the walls of the Ziegler School, while we may feel ready to head out into the world as rabbis, there is always so much more Torah to learn. I'd like for you to take note of something. What is the first thing that Rabbi Hia does in his process? He plants a seed. That is the first step in learning to teach Torah. And somewhere along the way, all of you sitting here tonight supporting us, you helped us plant our seed. Next, Rabbi Hia makes a net out of the material that sprang from that seed. Do you know how one makes a net, by the way? You begin by securing one end of a cord or a rope to an anchor, and from there, you tie it to another piece. You connect them. Each net is actually a series of hundreds of connections tied together. And without the other pieces secured to one another, you would never have a functioning net. And I'm proud to say that this evening, that it was our beloved teachers and mentors here at the Ziegler School who provided us with the anchor we needed to begin making connections. And over the course of our time here, we tied ourselves to tradition, we tied ourselves to texts, and we tied ourselves to each other. We made ourselves a big net. By the way, what does Rebbe Hia do with this net? He traps with it, and so did we. You see, we understood that this beautiful web of Torah has the opportunity to tangle one up. We wrapped ourselves in it. We fell in love. We loved it so much, we attempted to trap others in it as well. We probably tried to get all of you at least once. How often did you all listen to us talk about what we learned in school on a particular day? Did we trap you at the dinner table explaining the various nuances we found in this week's Parsha? Or a comment from Rashi we just needed to process out loud? If so, we apologize, but not really. Because we learned that this web we created also could be used as a safety net, a secure place to fall when life gets a little rough. Perhaps the most interesting thing and important thing that Rabbi Hia does is his final step. He feeds the orphans. Before he tries to teach them anything, he takes care of their most basic of needs. That is the essence of our work here. That is what we are all setting out to do. So while we learned here, we listened, we loved, and of course we fed and we ate. And we ate some more. We'll actually be eating some more after ordination tonight. Only after this was done, taking care of the needs of the others, like Rabbi Hia, did we go to our places that needed Torah. And we taught it there, in synagogues and hillels, at yoga retreats, and in the desert. We brought our Torah. Most importantly, we tried to teach it in a way that could be taught to others. L'dor v'dor, from one generation to the next. And just as you all have supported us, and just as our teachers have taught us, we realize that Torah is too precious to be kept to only one generation. In closing, I'd like to offer one final anecdote. A story is told of Rebbe Zusha, the great Hasidic master who lay crying on his deathbed. His students came and asked of him, "Rebbe, why are you so sad? You have believed in God with a faith as strong as Abraham's, and you have followed the commandments as carefully as Moses. Surely you will find a place in heaven." "I am afraid," said Rabbi Zusha, "because when I get to heaven, I am afraid that God will not ask me, 'Why weren't you more like Abraham?' or 'Why weren't you more like Moses?' But rather, I am afraid that God will ask, 'Why weren't you more like Zusha?'" Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you without hesitation this evening that neither me or my classmates are afraid to be our own Rebbe Zusha, to be ourselves. And while we dreamed on that couch years ago that Ziegler would make us rabbis, the reality is that while our school provided the classrooms, the amazing teachers, and the huge amount of knowledge, they alone couldn't make us rabbis. We had to earn it for ourselves. And we could not have done it without the presence of Adonai, our God, and the patience and support of the people that we love, you. Earlier, I cited a fear that our people have held on to for generations, that the Torah would be forgotten by the Jewish people. Well, if myself and my classmates have anything to say about that, it's this: not on our watch. So now, dear friends, loved ones, and planters of seeds, now that we have learned together, let our first act as rabbis be to instruct you the way Rebbe Hia instructed his students. Teach what you have learned to your friends. Vador Vador. Thank you.
It's now my pleasure to call upon my colleague and my beloved friend, Amanda Russell, who will lead us in the Kaddish de Rabbanan.
Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma tivrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayeh d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'adalah u'bizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'ameh almaya. Yitvarach v'yishtabach v'yitva'ar v'yishoman v'yitnaseh. Vitadar, Vitaleh, Vitalal, Shemei, Kusha, Rechu. Le'ela, Minkol, Birchata, Teshirata, Tushbechata, V'nechemata, Da'amiran Ba'alma, V'imru, Amen. Al Yisrael, Ve'al Rabbanan, Ve'al Tamidehon, Ve'al Kol Tamideh, Tamidehon, Ve'al Kol Nan Da'asfin Ve'oraita, Di Ve'atra, Aden, V'di, Ve'chol, Atar, Ve'atar. Yehei lahon ulachon shlama rabba, china v'chisa v'rachamim, v'chayin arifin v'mezonah v'bicha, u'forkana min kodam avuchon d'vishmaya v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayin tovim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osef shalom v'mromav, u'barachasav ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
You may be seated. Thank you, Jonathan and Amanda and the class of 2019. It's my pleasure at this time to call upon some of our current ordinands, Joshua Brian Warshawski and Ariel Lillian Root Wolpe, who will lead us in an original composition. You may follow along in the lyrics of your program on page 2.
last 6 and 7 years. Music has been a constant companion for us on this journey, so we wanted to share our musical offering as well.
We wrote it based on our text that we just learned with Barry Hodson, and based on the visions of what our classmates have shared for their rabbinic. Please sing along with us on page 2.
famous and rock stars. That wasn't in the program. At this point, I would like to invite this year's ordinands to return to take their places on the bima. Jewish law requires that most official acts be sanctioned by a Beit Din or rabbinical court of at least 3 rabbis. As we turn to the ordination of our new rabbis, we invite 3 individuals to serve as the Beit Din, who will officially invite our students into the rabbinic community. We welcome Rabbi Deborah Newman-Kamen, President of the Rabbinical Assembly, and Rabbi Stuart Vogel, Vice President of the Rabbinical Assembly, and invite them to serve as members of the Beit Din. We express to each of them our appreciation for coming here to be with us at this momentous occasion. The Rabbinical Assembly stands at the heart of the conservative Masorti movement in Judaism. We are honored to have as participants in this ordination 2 of its most distinguished leaders. Presiding as the Av Beit Din, or head of the rabbinical court, will be Rabbi Elliot Dorff, the rector of the American Jewish University, and Saul Aaron Dorff, distinguished professor of philosophy in the Ziegler School. Rabbis, thank you for your service. May I ask you all to please rise as Rabbi Peretz opens the ark for the moment of ordination. Rabbi Dorff, Rabbi Newman-Kamen, and Rabbi Vogel, at this joyous moment, I commend to you the candidates for ordination of the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies, the class of 2019.
ולמך תראה בחייך, ואחריתך לחיי העולם הבא, ותקוותך לדור דורים. לבך יהגה תבונה, פיך ידבר חכמות, ולשונך ירחיש רננות, אפיך יאשרו כנגדך, עיניך יאירו במאור תורה, ופניך יזהירו כזוהר הרקיע. שפתותיך יביע כדעת לכליותיך תעלוזנה מישרים, ופעמיך ירוצו לשמוע דברי עתיד יומם. May you see your world in your lifetime. May you inherit the world to come. And may your hope last for all generations. May your mind understand many things. May your mouth speak words of wisdom, and may your tongue sing with joy. May your eyes look straight before you, and may they be enlightened by the light of the Torah. May your face shine like the brightness of the firmament. May your lips utter words of knowledge, your heart rejoice in upright deeds, and your steps run to hear the words of the Ancient of Days.
May the words of Torah, Adonai our God, be sweet in our mouths and in the mouths of all your people, so that we and all the children of the house of Israel may come to love you and to study your Torah on its own merit.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you with all the good things in life and keep you from the bad. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May God smile on you and give you beyond what you deserve. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God face you and grant you peace.
Amen.
You may be seated.
Not you, you guys stay. I'm sorry, you rabbis, please stay. I thought a lot about what words of wisdom I could impart to you, and I realized in thinking about this that anything that I could say to you has already been said so beautifully by the teachers who've taught you, who've been dedicated to you for so many years of your education. And so I wanted to just share with you one of my really favorite memories, which was the Rabbinical Assembly came and had dinner with most of you in January. And we put you on the spot and asked each of you to please get up and introduce yourselves with the vision of your rabbinate and how you would serve. And then we watched each of you stand and so eloquently, with so much heart and spirit, speak of how you were going to serve the Jewish people and how you were going to bring Torah into the world. And we, the leaders of the Rabbinical Assembly, who once again thought we had come to teach you, were so touched and so inspired and so excited about what it would mean to have you become rabbis and become part of the Rabbinical Assembly. This has been an incubator of sorts where you've developed wonderful relationships with each other, with your teachers, and in community. But each of you now are about to set out a little bit on your own without this tight community that you've created. And so it's our hope that you will find friendship and support through your connections with other rabbis in Rabbinical Assembly. We are so excited to welcome you in as our friends, and we are very excited to watch as you teach your order to your friends. Mazel tov.
It is our honor and pleasure to welcome into the rabbinic community Rabbi Ariel Lillian Root Wolpe. Rabbi Joshua Brian Warshawski. Rabbi Joseph Piha Shamash. You know Ashkenazi Jews can make that noise too. Rabbi Samuel David Side. Amanda Claire Russell. Rabbi Sidney Adler Rubenstein. Rabbi Feivel Yaakov Rubenstein. Rabbi Rose Claire Provisor. Rabbi Morris Benjamin Panis. Rabbi Natasha Jade Mann. Rabbi Karen Sue Eisenberg. Rabbi Jonathan Scott Hodson. Rabbi Jennifer Ruth Romano Greenspan. Rabbi Herschel Broder Aberson. It gives me great pleasure to present to this community the world's newest rabbis.
And I don't have a license to do that. Well, mazel tov to our new rabbis and their families and friends. A personal note. This is my third and last time emceeing a Ziegler Ordination as chairman of the board. It has been a privilege and an honor to participate in the celebration of the culmination of the work of the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies, which is in actuality the enrichment of our Jewish community and the securing of our Jewish futures with the creation of these rabbis. On behalf of the advisory board of the Ziegler School, faculty, administration, and staff, I want to thank all of you for being with us this evening to celebrate this joyous occasion. After the closing benediction, please allow our newly ordained rabbis and our honored guests to descend from the bima and lead us to the AJU Berg Dining Hall for a dessert reception and celebration. At this time, I would like to call upon Rabbi Cheryl Peretz Associate Dean of the Ziegler School, to close with some thoughts and a benediction. And my thanks to you all.
I'm always conscious in this moment of just what it must feel like for each one of us sitting in this room, whether we are one of the new ordained rabbis, one of the rabbis who is celebrating 20 years in the rabbinate, or perhaps another rabbi in the room, of which I'm sure you've noted there are many, 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 many rabbis, who are perhaps thinking of the moment of their own ordination and or their own renewed vigor of their own work. Or perhaps it's a family member or a friend or a loved one or a community member who is inspired by the hope for the Jewish people. Or perhaps a student colleague sitting here thinking about what it will be like when you yourself ascend this bima as a rabbi. And in this moment, on the occasion of the 20th anniversary, and in recognition of the text I had the honor of studying with the class on Friday, in which we spoke about the way in which saying something b'shem umro, in the name of someone who taught it to you, helps bring a little bit of redemption in the world. It's my honor to actually deliver the benediction that was the benediction that my teacher and Rabbi Dr. David Lieber, of blessed memory, used to recite and offer every year at this ordination, the first of which he offered these words in 1989 at the first ordination. And here's what he said. Toward the beginning of Parshat Behalotecha, God instructs Moses to set the Levites apart for this service. Kach et ha-Leviim mitoch b'nei Yisrael v'tiharta otam. Take the Levites from amidst the children of Israel and purify them. Rashi's comment on the verse is instructive as always. Win them over. Say to them how happy you must be knowing that God has called you to serve God. Each of you has been called to the service of God. Like the Levites of old, and indeed like Moses, their teacher, you have been charged to communicate God's word to our people, to teach them the enduring truths of Torah, like all of those linked to the Moses by the chain of tradition, the elders, the prophets, and rabbinic sages. You are challenged to make the Torah speak to the needs and concerns of your generation, both young and old. To heed the call, you require not only learning and skill, but an abiding faith in God, that you may be capable of exercising moral and spiritual leadership. You will have the high privilege of sharing your people's joys and sorrows, their most intimate confidence, a privilege you must treasure and never abuse. Having won their respect and affection, you may then find them joining you in fashioning a Kehillah Kedoshah, a genuinely worshiping, learning, sharing, and caring community to which all are welcome and which each is moved to realize the divine image within. The task will not be easy, and sometimes, as Moses discovered, deeply frustrating, but it will be deeply enriching as you touch the lives of your people and watch them grow in wisdom and compassion. Ashreichem, how happy you should be to devote your life to the study of Torah, to share its insights with our people, and to join with them in realizing God's presence on earth. As we conclude the solemn festivities of this evening on your ordination, we, your teachers and now colleagues, invoke upon you Moses' blessings to Joshua as he passed the mantle of leadership onto him. Chazak ve'ametz, be strong, be courageous. To which we add the comment of the ancient sages, Chazak b'Torah ve'amatz b'masim tovim. Be strong in committing your life to Torah. Be courageous in implementing its teaching in a life dedicated to pursuing justice, promoting acts of loving kindness, and walking humbly with God, as I would add, Dr. Lieber taught so many of us. And as we conclude, I want to invite everyone to please rise and join me in reciting the Shechianu, the prayer that thanks God for bringing us to this moment, in this time, in this place.
Baruch atah